Hey guys, how's it going? This is the Bald Metal Nerd coming at you with another wonderful vid. In this one, I'm going to be taking a look at a device that is a couple of years old now. It is an unbranded tablet that I got back at Best Buy a couple of years ago. I had actually originally purchased this for my wife, but she has deigned not to use it. So I, of course, inherited it. Now, there are still devices that are somewhat similar to this for somewhat similar price point that you can still get. This is available on the secondhand market, but it's a bit overpriced, I think, for what it is. But I'm going to go ahead, just lift the camera here a bit, and show you some current stuff on Amazon you can get that's really similar. Here's an RCA tablet. It's a 10.1 inch, same as the tablet I'm going to be showing off. Very similar specs. Standard Windows 10, Intel Atom processor, 2 gig of RAM, 32 gig onboard storage. It goes for 119 bucks. So let's go ahead. We're going to search for this one on Amazon, see what it's selling for. I think it's a bit more than 100. Wow, $782. Okay, let's see what it's selling for in the real world. Let's check eBay here. Just for fun. Alright. Let's Okay. We got a Google tablet there for 82 bucks, but that's not... See, I'm not sure if these are those are all Android. Okay, let's do 10.1. That might be more. These are all Android tablets. Let's look specifically for a Windows tablet here. Okay, this guy's selling used one for 120 bucks. Wow, this guy's selling it for 235, 124. 51 to 205. Basically, guys, I would say this is worth maybe 100, for what it is, 100 to 130 dollars. You can, you don't have to get this exact model, but I just wanted to show off that this is still a product category that, is still a thing, right? So basically what I would call a very low-priced Windows tablet, or Windows 10 on a budget. So let's take a closer look at this device. It splits into two. We've got the main tablet here as well as the keyboard. I'll show you the screen and all that here in a second. Keyboard here obviously has a built-in trackpad. There's no additional battery or anything in this. This is just a keyboard and trackpad. You got the magnetic seal there and the pins that connect it to the actual device. You do get a nice bonus. You get a full-size USB port built into this, which is nice because it allows you to use pretty much any USB device with the tablet. And of course, this is the actual back of the tablet itself. It's got a 2 megapixel camera on the back, so you're not going to take any super high quality photos with it. We got a pair of speakers. You got one there, one there. They're not much to write home about. On this side, you've got a little cover here that should pop right off. Should be a keyword. Oh, come on. Gotta get my fingernail underneath it. There we go. And if you want to, you can slot a micro SD card in there for storage expansion. I haven't bothered with it because this is very much a secondary device for me. And then on this side, got a headphone jack. I guess micro HDMI, micro USB power button. You got your volume control, and I think that button changes the orientation of the screen, although it has a sensor that'll auto change the orientation of the screen. So let's go ahead and attach this to the keyboard there, power it up so you guys can see how long it takes to boot up. Okay, I did. Sometimes you got to press the power button a specific way. There it goes. Now turn on. It's not too bad of a boot up process. It's fairly quick, as you can see, right? I'm going to go ahead and obviously we got an on-screen keyboard here that you can use. And of course you can use the quote real keyboard. I'm going to go ahead, take this off screen and put in my password, so just bear with me here. Alright, now like I said, this originally came with Windows 8, but it was pretty trivial to update this to Windows 10 when Windows 10 came out, needless to say. So, you know, obviously right now we're on the latest version of Windows 10, 32-bit, obviously, since this is an Intel Atom processor with 2 gigs of RAM. So it's definitely not high-end and very minimal. So let's see, basically, there's still a fair amount of free space on the device, even with some applications installed. Now, I haven't like purposely tried to load this thing down, but we still have more than half of the space free. We've got about 12.5 gigs is used, 15.9 gigs is free, and that is not me trying to take this thing down to a bare minimum. You know, I purposely loaded some applications up so we could, you know, I could show off some things and we can test and blah, blah, blah. So you're probably wondering to yourself, how does this thing handle, you know, everyday tasks? Is it powerful enough? Yeah, actually it is. Given the testing that I did on this thing today, and I tested it pretty extensively, it's relatively decent for, you know, for any basic task. Okay. Yeah, whatever. We don't. Oh yeah, because I was messing with it. Let's not do that. I was messing with this thing earlier, so okay, let's try that again. Let's just come on, give me a writer. Thank you. Obviously, this is Libreoffice, the equivalent of Microsoft Word. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just test the responsiveness. How quick is it to, you know, reflect what I type, right? So we're not going to. And at first it's a little sluggish, but after it's in the program for a few seconds, obviously we have some pretty instantaneous results here of my nonsense typing. And then if I actually, you know, show you guys what it's like to really type on this thing, it's passable. It's not outstanding or even anything close to it, but it's definitely passable for typing in most applications, including word processors. But clearly, it's no it's a bit worse. A bit worse than larger laptop keyboards, but certainly passable for editing documents or, you know, internet searching or whatever. It's going to do the job more or less for what you need to do for basic tasks in pretty much any application for the keyboard. So, and as you can see, the application loaded up pretty quick. It's fairly responsive. So, alright, obviously it's going to handle basic office productivity tasks just fine. But, you know, let's be honest, we don't spend hours and hours and hours doing those types of tasks. We spend most of our time on the web. So clearly, how does it do on the web is going to be very important. Let's go ahead and launch Firefox, and I will show you. And rather than just launching one website, I'm going to open a group of tabs. That way you can see just how well it updates a fairly large group of sites. So let's go ahead and Just going to open these. This is some silly websites I like to look at. It's going to fire them up here. We'll just wait for the sites to load. When you're loading, sorry, just adjusting the camera there. When you're loading several sites at a time, obviously it takes a bit. Let's go ahead and take a look at the resource utilization on the machine right now. It's going to be fairly high, by the way, I'm sure. Yeah, we're hammering the CPU pretty hard, and most of the RAM's getting used up, which is not surprising, given that this is, I believe it's a quad-core, yeah, it's a quad-core Intel Atom processor, whatever. Oh, if you want to know the exact model, it looks like it's a Z3735F. How exciting, right? Okay, so whatever. Let's go ahead and actually interact with some web pages, see how well it scrolls and all that. It's not super quick, but that's because it's still kind of grinding. As soon as those sites load in the background, I guarantee it'll start running a bit smoother. You just have to have a slight amount of patience with this if you're opening a large group of websites. But I did this earlier today, and it worked totally fine. So let's go ahead, just close that tab. That's kind of silly looking. Demon tattoo cover-up. All right. And see, and this is a fairly obviously photo-intensive site, and it's scrolling through it just fine. Some pretty heavy-ish sites. Yeah, I mean, it's performance is fine. No real problems. So let's go ahead and we'll just get out of all this crud here. I'll just close these sites down. And of course, one thing we're all going to be curious about is YouTube. How does YouTube perform? Well, let's find out. Because we all like to watch YouTube videos, in fact. That's clearly what you guys are doing right now, and I thank you for it. Okay, so come on, do the search. All right, just grab this one here. Now, let's go ahead and put that full screen. This will... Okay. I must be... That, yeah, the trackpad on this is a little quirky. Wow. Okay. That is one downside of this, is the trackpad is very quirky. I wasn't trying to do it. I was just trying to change the resolution on this video. Come on. Yeah. Of course it works before when I'm not filming. I'll just go full screen, maybe. Maybe. Oh, man. It is struggling a bit, clearly. I'm not sure what resolution this is on. Okay, 1080p. Alright, great. Okay, now that it's going, it's playing the video smoothly. There's no jerking. And clearly the image quality on this screen is pretty good. It's about what you would expect in a device like this. And 1080p video clearly plays just fine. Now, if we go to a 4K video, it will have problems. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Switch this to 4K. and it's a slideshow at 4K. Not surprising given the limitations of this device. So switch back to 1080. Is it back to 1080 yet? Come on. Yeah, it definitely dropped some frames. There we go. It's back. Okay. It's not completely seamless when you switch to full screen to not, for some reason. Didn't have this problem before. That's the way it goes. I don't know why the... I know it shouldn't be still. Well, guys, you're getting to see technical difficulties along the way. Wow, photos, some strawberry footage. It's great. Okay. Let's get back to the animals. Make sure the actual movement is solid. Okay, much better. As long as you're not like trying to switch resolutions on the fly, or not. Okay, there. Okay, clearly now it's working normally. But we did obviously run into the limitations of this device with that, what I would call video stress test. You know, I think the CPU, you're really seeing the limitations of the Atom CPU with that. Obviously, it will play YouTube videos pretty much just fine, and you can view them with no problem. I watched a whole lot of YouTube content on this earlier today, and didn't really experience any stuttering or major problems with it, but clearly there are some limitations. Now, the next question somebody's going to ask, how's the speaker sound? Well, somebody may not ask it, but I'm going to answer that question anyway, considering this is the type of channel that it is. The speakers on this are going to be fairly poor, so I'm just going to play this song. Let's make sure that we're actually... Make sure my NAS is awake. I'll make sure on my other PC since it's a bit more responsive. Okay. Plenty awake. And this is the speakers turned all the way up. And it's about what you would expect out of this device. Extremely underwhelming. Obviously we're at 100%. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in some headphones here. So let's go ahead and I'm going to take a quick listen and let you know, guys, know how this sounds. Alright, listening over headphones, it's fairly decent. Definitely good enough for casual listening, but it's nowhere near as... It's got a pretty mediocre-ish, I guess, DAC and headphone amp, which is Really not surprising. It's certainly not really hi-fi, but it's definitely passable. It's, quote, good enough for casual listening on it. You're not going to really hate it too much. So now, of course, the final question. Somebody's going to ask, how about gaming on this thing? Well, we're going to cover gaming now. So let me go ahead and fire up Steam. And the reason I kind of let this all happen on camera so you guys can see in real time just how long this stuff takes on this hardware. So let's go ahead and fire that up. Steam launched yet? There it is, slowly but surely, right? Go ahead. Yeah. Alright. Okay. I've only got one game actually loaded onto this thing. It's a fairly, for lack of a better term, low-end game. So let's go ahead and just hit play on that. Hitting play on that game, and takes just a few minutes to load up here. I could edit all this out, but then you guys wouldn't get the true experience here. And there's a major issue with Steam on this laptop that I'll be showing you guys here in a second. And this, of course, is a fairly low-end game as far as hardware requirements go. That's why it's what I'm testing with. It's actually really smooth action, as you can see on this game. But of course, this game is not really gonna push this machine too hard because, well, it's a not a high-end game. Now, I'm gonna show you guys the major problem with Steam on this machine. Okay, a controller that I like to use for PC gaming quite a bit is this Xbox 360 controller. And of course, just connects via USB. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this into the USB port in the keyboard here. Let the computer recognize it. And, and at first, it works just fine. Just give it a minute. Is there a time limit in this training mission? Okay, good. Oh, the irony. Now it completely works. Interesting. Okay, what would happen before is this controller would completely, constantly disconnect and reconnect. Interesting that if you connect it after you, I might have just found the solution to this bug completely accidentally. Alright, let's get out of this. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and play a much more challenging game on here for the hardware. one that this clearly isn't capable of running, we're going to, of course, use Steam's in-home streaming feature and launch a much more modern and demanding game. And I have all the settings on the Steam streaming to maximum right now. Beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Trying to make this game look as good as it possibly can on this device. And of course, keep in mind this is playing through Wi-Fi, not a wired connection. This game always takes a minute to load. Even on my even on my most modern PC, it takes some time. So, because SSDs still are not great for extreme mass storage, as I talked about in one of my recent videos, due to the price discrepancy between traditional hard disks and SSDs. Okay.
Hey, Sheldon to Rico.
Well, clearly the
What do you need?
the problem's reared its ugly head.
Well,
My controller is now dead.
Ravello's bonnet and caused enough Windows about to suffer the brunt of his.
Right? It'll connect and disconnect.
I thought you and your pal would like to know.
I have no control
Mario, you there?
over the vehicle, and I just
I'll meet you outside of town.
well, now I have control, but it will go away. See, it's gone. And this will constantly disconnect and reconnect when you're in-game in Steam. I don't know why. It does not do that. When you're not in-game in Steam, it works just fine. It will stay continually connected. So at first I thought, well, maybe it's the USB connector. Well, I tried using a couple of different extensions. I did this, as well as this. Same result, so I don't know. But if you really want to, you can play with the keyboard, which is not something I'd recommend, as this is pretty poor substitute for... this is not a good keyboard to game on because the keys are close together, yada yada. You know, I'm not a fan of this key. I mean, it's serviceable. You could probably get used to it, but I would recommend, honestly, if you're going to game with mouse and keyboard on this, try hooking up a USB hub. I haven't done that. You probably would have better luck than I did with the controller. Whatever. So, you guys get an idea of what that looks like. It is definitely possible to game on this thing if you really want to. If that is your objective, it is a thing you can do. Now, let's go ahead and we're going to go a little more classic here. We're going to try to do some emulation and see how that works out. Now, I haven't, you're just going to have to bear with me 1 second, guys, because I haven't configured my controller in this emulator yet. So go ahead and, I haven't even, this is the controller I am going to use. So I just got to give it a second. Okay, Windows has recognized it. So let's go ahead and configure the input. Here we go. Alright. Wow, it didn't even give me a chance to... Alright, good enough. let's go ahead and load a game here. We'll see how she runs. Nothing. Is my controller not? Let's make sure I got that right. For all I know, this could be having the same problem as the Xbox controller, but I don't have a light on here to tell me if it is or not. Let's try this again. Okay, gotta love that. Not really. Oh my gosh, so annoying. Okay, all right. All right, well, I think this is a fail as far as gaming goes. Okay, guys, I never have that sort of problem getting this controller to work on any other machine that I have. So I'm going to say this, as far as gaming goes on this, unless you want to use the keyboard or have a, that's what I'm looking for. Unless you want to use a keyboard or use a hub, maybe it would work better in a USB hub. I'm not sure. I can't really recommend this for gaming, but for most other tasks, I think this does the job, and I think it does a pretty good job overall. Is it perfect? No, but it's pretty good. So, should you pick one of these up? Yeah, I would say this is going on with me when I go on vacation. This is going to be what I take with me because it's a lot less bulky than a laptop, and it has pretty much full functionality for what I need. So anyway, that's it. Just wanted to show this thing off. The other most notable thing that I wanted to say about this is the only retail machine I've ever bought that came with zero bloatware. This didn't come with a single trial antivirus, trial Microsoft Office, trial anything. It was just pure Windows. Beautiful thing. I don't know what the other cheapo Windows tablets come with. Have no idea. So anyway, that's pretty much wraps us up. If you like this, thumbs up. If you hate me, thumbs down. Share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.